Hello, I want to continue with what some minutes ago was promising. Also ich möchte mit dem fortfahren, was ich eben gerade versprochen hatte. Also hier nochmal, wir haben jetzt den 30.01., we have the 30th of January, and I want to follow, und ich möchte jetzt dem nachgehen, what the saying means, forget what is behind. I will try, but maybe it is not possible. Also ich würde gerne damit fortfahren, indem ich einfach vergesse, was hier verrückte Sachen passiert sind. Aber wahrscheinlich wird das nicht gehen. I think if people wanted to look into it with logic in mind, they will on themselves understand that those allegations couldn't be true. Also ich denke, wenn man da mit Logik dran geht, dann wird man schon selbst drauf kommen, dass diese Vorwürfe so gar nicht stimmen können. It was honor cutting, to say the least. Also was da passiert ist die letzten 2 Jahre, das war schon erbschneidend. It was like judging the character of someone from the south. They have a temper that can flare up, like mine also. Also das ist eher so wie die Charakterbeurteilung von Leuten im Süden, wo der Charakter auch entflammen kann. Also I want to tell rather, this of course had to be solved. Till now no one is moving from the government or from the governmental like entities. Also es bewegt sich noch keiner von Regierungsstellen, also Verwaltungsstellen oder von den ähnlichen Stellen. Medizinerberat ist ja was Ähnliches. I want to tell you about the reasons why I think it could be in your interest also, and I mean everyone in Europe that is interested in history. Also ich meine, es würde jeden interessieren, der sich für Geschichte interessiert. The reasons this should be of interest to you as well, is the same as nearly with everything that is history. Also der Grund, warum das interessant sein sollte, ist wie fast immer in der Geschichte. To learn how, why, and what follows. Also es ist ganz einfach, so wie immer in der Geschichte, aus der Geschichte zu lernen, wie etwas geschah, warum und was daraus entstand. You might also say it is the law of sowing and reaping. Aber man kann auch sagen, das ist das Gesetz des Säens und Erntens. So it is not to look at things only as as looking to or for role models. Also es geht nicht nur darum, jetzt nach Vorbildern zu suchen. It is rather to think what you would have done in those circumstances. I think I have role models, but my mother was so persuasive for me, because I understood her, and that was growing. It was not that I was saying it is everything. Of course it is not. That I wanted to follow in what she did most likely because I won't go into such circumstances. Also es ging natürlich nicht darum, alles zu tun, was sie getan hat. Das geht ja gar nicht, weil ich werde wahrscheinlich auch nicht in diese Umstände kommen. And the same goes with the military. His father, let me see if I have it, I'm working all the time with my reverse brainstorming, or my brainstorming, and it is of course this man. I met him. Some people will say, no, you were not there. And I wouldn't choose that location because I understood, also not again, because I understood it was not for me, this stuntman behavior in movies. Also ich würde da natürlich auch nicht nochmal hin. I did not even know it was filmed. Was einfach nicht für mich ist, dieses Stuntman. Das muss ich auch und zu mal zeigen. Wer das nicht macht, ist auch nicht schlimm, aber dann geht es eben nicht so gut. And this, by the way, is what my workplace is looking right now. So it is technically something, but it is also that what my parents were undergoing. They were learning all the time. This movie was explained to me, and it was so I wanted to know. So I was following that right at time, and it did not stop. And I had sometimes 3 conversations going on with all those 3. Here's my mother, the younger, and then the mother, the older. Meet my father in person. I had a raising father, and there are secrets. This is my mother, the younger. You see, she had a car. Was that for a short time, or wasn't it her car? On the right. And some schooling, network, all about das Wissen mir aneignen können über Technik und das so mit. Und why is that for you important also? I want to be cautious. I do not want to make too much out of it, because if history has unknown aspects, it is not always something that is for everyone. We know that Genghis Khan, for example, Genghis Khan, I don't know how to form Alexander the Great, or Alexander the Große, or Genghis Khan, those weren't very peaceful times, but if you learn from history, you have to consider that also. Times are not always peaceful, so sometimes people want to throw those books out. Here in this town, I overheard a conversation where teachers wanted to throw books with violence out of the shelves, and they did so. In my time, there were many books about Indians about those Eastern. They are not Indians, they are not called Indians, but they are something like Indians. I call them Fahrensleute in German, oder Fahrensvolk, because they were on the move. So, why could you be interested? So, warum könnten Sie interessiert sein? To learn from history, to understand how the forefathers lived, not always peaceful. And in those days, the forefather line of my father, they were rather Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great. It was even some visitor with us who said so, that is your ancestry, and he was very stunned, perplexed, that I did not even jump on that wagon. Also hier war ein Besucher, der hatte mal kurz gesagt, Genghis Khan und Alexander der Große, der ist ja unter eurem Vorfahren, und der war sehr entsetzt, also fast entsetzt, nicht ganz, fast entsetzt, dass ich da gar nicht drauf angebissen hatte, oder da nicht angebissen hatte. The reason is, we were a very peaceful family. It was raising up in, let me say it in US terms, also lass mich das mal ausdrücken, in den USA, it was Christian conservative. But I would call it progressive as well, because those was my upbringing. It was with me without violence, not at all. Some said better you should have had some, but that people always say. But I was a child who was willing to learn. And my mother, she could be very strict. It was said about her, she was very strict educator. Also es ist über meine Mutter gesagt worden, sie wäre sehr, sehr streng gewesen. Ich selbst habe das nicht so gebraucht, bin also völlig gewaltfrei. Also ich kann mich nicht erinnern. Es wurde angedroht, aber eigentlich passierte da nichts. Also es war jetzt nicht völlig gewaltfrei, das kann man jetzt nicht sagen. Aber das habe ich eher in der Schule erfahren. It was not fully without violence, but I experienced that at school. And because I was raised at home peacefully, I had trouble to defend myself. I was rather a negotiator. Und das ist wirklich so. Also ich bin sehr friedlich erzogen worden und das gab schon deswegen Probleme. Ich konnte mich nicht so gut verteidigen. This man, he then said, I must look for you. I was bodyguard of your father, and I want to come one day, and because your father isn't there anymore to defend you. But he left his revolver at home. I especially asked him for that. In America he would have gone there armed, and he then had to go to prison because he threw some over tables. You could look that up in the papers if you know something about it. If you know him, he had been in Germany looking for me, and he said, it is not good what people say about you. So there was bad rumor. It must have been, let me say, 10 years, 1979, around 79. This actor had been in Germany, and he said, this is not good. In all times we would have defended ourselves when people badmouthed us. Also er sagte, in alter Zeit hätten wir uns verteidigt, also auch mit der Faust, mit Gewalt oder auch mehr, wenn Leute schlecht über uns gesprochen haben. And I was raised very, very peacefully, and I'm still on that line, but it was my father's line. It had developed. He was military, but he was clearly into something that Schollatur, for example, he knew him as well. Schollatur did. He was a diplomat, privately sometime. I don't know. I think all the times. Vielleicht sogar war er die ganze Zeit, also der Herr Schollatur. Ich habe den nicht häufig gesehen, aber er war so jemand, der auch so mehr auf die Diplomatie dann gesetzt hatte. But nevertheless, he was military, and that went back, the knowledge went back to the Unification Laws, also von mir sogenannte Freiheitskriege, die preußischen Einheitskriege, aber auch seltsamerweise habe ich auch was in Bayern gefunden, but I'm not knowing much about it. It was in the 70s or early 80s that someone began to tell a little bit about the Bavarian military undergoing, and since I didn't know anything, he stopped. Also da war mal so eine Test, dass mir etwas gesagt wurde über eine Geschichte in Bayern, and I'm a little bit more even, also I'm understatement, having as my rule not to be too much disappointed. Also ich bin natürlich nicht erfreut, also um das jetzt harmlos mal auszudrücken, aber ich muss ja den Ball flach halten. Also hier ist sehr viel vorenthalten worden. Es ist much was held back, and that what I understood was foreign. Abroad people were different. And then here in this country people were different to those abroad. So I had those culture journeys, and that was me alone. The others, we were friendly in the family, and I do not want to underline it too much, but it is now seen the others had different interests. And I still want to bring them into this detective work, but for me it is clear they had a different upbringing. And I don't know, I didn't choose it if I would. Also ich weiß nicht, ob ich das wählen würde, wahrscheinlich nicht, weil das jetzt nicht so toll ist. Aber ich würde sie natürlich immer noch gerne in diese Sachen hineinbringen. And this as well was a fact. Someone knocked at the door and he wanted to have a photograph of my father. He was called grandfather to the outside world. Also das war einfach einfacher, weil ich halt zwei Mütter hatte. Die ältere, die war ich zwar in der Wohnung, sie wurde Großmutter genannt, und die jüngere eben Mutter. Und das ist auch so, one household and two mothers. One, the elder, was called grandmother, but she was the mother, and the other as well, so I had two. And then I had daycare mothers. We were very close, so I had a well-guarded upbringing. The trouble began at school, because I understood I was a little bit different. And this was always there. This is my father, or it is his friend. But I think it is my father. He had a group of similar-looking people as well. With me it was not. I had not such a group. But I now come to the conclusion there could have been, during those times in the movies. I was not very often there. I was only looking, visiting. But during that time, and this could also be a reason, if you're interested, we were a little bit involved in the planning. And those moving were Ponderosa, those Little Farm, oder wie das heißt, Little Farm, unsere, glaube ich, our. oder House in the Prairies, glaube ich, House in the Prairie, weiß ich gar nicht. Those were educational things. People should understand history and then look back to know where they came from, to understand where they wanted to go. And there was this film with Mrs. Bernadotte. My mother knew her, but that was before 1970 known to. So she had been to the movies as well, but that had stopped. I don't know if that is only to be explained because of the conversion inside of Christianity. They wanted, when they started the family, do it a little bit differently. So it wasn't a conversion totally from black to white, but it was something like pattern changing. Also die Bekehrung, sogenannte Bekehrung, war jetzt nicht von schwarz nach weiß, sondern da war eine Art, ja, es war schon Stilbruch, irgendwie bevor 1970. And there she had also had even some encounters with paparazzis, but I didn't know nothing about it. And it was only a little bit, so she had been, no, I don't know if she had been something like a movie star, but it was rather, I don't know, a student. And then she had also sing a song, Kleiner Italiener, so etwas. My mother had also, and you could look into it, there must come something out. She was, I hope this is it a daycare mother? Why are they so similar? No, it was my mother, wasn't it? I did not even recognize that too much. There was another boy looking like me, but I was not going into such a group. With me it did not start. And my mother, the elder, she was very strict, and she said, no, we don't want this. So I had with movies, like Panterosa, Little Farm, others playing the role I could have had as my own if I wanted and was and had been. I wasn't fit to do it. So I was a little bit delicate. And there was this, no, not Kevin Alone at Home. No, I don't think so that I was there, but Dennis the Menace. And I wasn't a menace, so I couldn't play that part. Dennis the Menace. And I was even not amused when my mother said I wrote a little bit about you, and then they molded this character. But this totally changed. It was before, and then afterward we had a quiet life, and then it was too quiet. Because I looked back, this was after the schooling began, but it was during holidays. But before I was very much abroad. And there was a future drawn to me, a bright future. And this wasn't happening. So I'm not complaining, but I'm complaining now that I didn't knew. I want to know my ancestry, and I want to have not only a part of it, but I want to know what is with Karl. Was he Karl of Bavaria? There was a Karl of Bavaria. Was he then saying, no, this is not good enough for me, I go home to Silesia? They have Pauline and my tribesmen. I don't know, maybe. I heard a little bit like it. But there's till now no proof, and I want to be very cautious because there were those I now consider as Doppelgangers, also Doppelgänger. Die hat es gegeben, deswegen muss man vorsichtig sein. Also ich weiß noch nicht genau, warum, aber zum Beispiel Karl von Bayern, das könnte eine Rolle gewesen sein von dem Vater meines Vaters. Und warum er dann wieder nach Silesia, das ist Schlesien, gegangen ist, also ist ein anderer Name dafür, weiß ich nicht, vielleicht weil Pauline dort war. Er hatte ja dann Pauline geheiratet und er wollte dann, wegen seiner Bekehrung, wollte er dieser einen Frau treu sein und er hatte dann wirklich auch einen Paradigmenwechsel vorgelegt. It is said, it is a rumor, no, it is a legend rather, because I heard it from several lines, that he did not want it to be called a king. He only called it, the father of my father, he only called himself Prince Karl, because there is one king, that is God. So he was devout. And for me, this is not necessarily my line. It is not necessarily my character that I want to be such a strong man who could throw enemies out of the window. But why should I judge others? I can learn from it. He said we taught others to defend themselves. And for me, the family is full of different characters. The family, especially looking back, those were military, but then they were trained in the US, and I come more and more to the conclusion you can learn so much of it. Those two I don't know how they are related. But someone came here at the doorstep and he said something that was totally unbelievable. My mother, the elder, no, they don't say it, they said she had written "blown by the wind." And of course everyone would say, no, that is someone else, but think about the doppelgangers. Those two were characters that were sharing, maybe with my mother, the elder, a meme, a character. Also diese beiden könnten hier, Schauspieler gewesen sein, das ist ziemlich sicher noch nicht ganz, deswegen muss ich aufpassen, das ist Detektivarbeit, die sich eine Rolle mit meiner Mutter der Älteren geteilt hatten. My mother the elder, and I can only go a little bit into it, because the topic in itself would be very large. It was in the 30s, I think, or in the 20s, 30s, she was having a crisis. And I don't know why and how. She was then having the chance to go to the movies. Then she was having a film she didn't like. She was said, you are too much stiff. You should drink a little bit. And she then said that wasn't right. I was, of course, playing better, but I'd rather to stay sober. Also es war dann so, die Mutter Ältere hatte eine Krise. Sie ist irgendwie nach Amerika gekommen. Sie hatte die Chance, etwas ganz anderes zu erleben, damit sie aus der Krise herauskam. Und da hatte sie aber auch einen Film gedreht, das ist dann wieder Lernen aus der Geschichte, wo ihr dann gesagt wurde, sie ist zu verkrampft. Sie soll doch mal einfach einen Schluck trinken. Und das hat sie dann wieder negativ. Das ist natürlich ein Geheimnis gewesen zwischen ihr und mir. Ich weiß nicht, wie viel ich davon überhaupt erzählen will. But you can learn from the stories, both the good and the bad, how to behave in situations and how to come to your feet. To your feet again. This is my ambition, not to tell it one-dimensional, but with sensitive trying to tell it so people can learn, because this was a secret between me and my mother, and the others didn't know. Of course, now they think, why was he telling everything and we not? But that I cannot explain. It was rather, I was there having the little room, and there was a bath, and the living room of my mother, and so I was very close. It was sometimes too close. There came a visitor and he said, "Is your little boy, is he listening?" And I wasn't, because I was ordered, and I sometimes thought she could open the door anytime. So I was, but it was trust between us, so I would rather not have said something to her that wasn't true, because I understood somehow she was getting the idea if something was not totally online. It was very close, and so I heard many things the others didn't. That, Blown by the Wind, is a mystery, okay? It was not written by her alone. She herself said she was the chief writer. And that was in the South States, and the Blown by the Wind, that is what was blown away in the 20s. Was that a diplomatic career? What was it? I cannot jump to conclusions, because I was with noblemen, because those were somehow also with others from Europe, from different nationalities, because of their diplomatic work. And even Blown by the Wind is not only about the real nobleman with a rank, but now I understand there must have been a rank for nearly everyone in the family. I didn't know. And it wasn't totally away, it was still there, so it was not given up, but it was put under secrecy, and under secrecy, that was because no one knew about it. No one knew about it, but then when she wanted to reopen, it was falsely said she is a pretender, and I do not want to go into that too much. I must rather not think too much about it. And she was having the part, not of the first. That was for a lady who then came. She had an extra house, and she had extra guards and so on. The standing of my mother wasn't so high anymore. I must say anymore, because she was defended. Then something happened to her, and her husband, he defended her before the court also. And she was having the part of a lady who was a little bit wise, counseling. But I haven't even seen the film, a little bit. But this should be gone into. Also das sollte man mal untersuchen, wie vom Winde verweht überhaupt möglich ist, in Verbindung gebracht zu werden zu meiner Mutter der Eltern, wie das eigentlich geht. So, wir haben ja schon 35 Minuten, ich kann nicht zu viel erzählen, aber ich kann auch nicht fertig erzählen, weil ich da einfach nicht weiterkomme. This, of course, would be not good, not to know it. She had tried to go to the strings again. Sie hatte versucht, die Fäden wieder in die Hand zu bekommen. And I understand, of course, my English isn't good. I have been there even when I was very little. And I listening to English and American television and radios. But since I had been under medical treatment with blood pressure medication. I had never real medication that that is now falsely accused to me of being necessary, and I need help to defend those allegations of diagnoses. Those are not true. It is my character as a military descendant that I can flare up, that I can be loud, and those are the allegations that it is sad. It is sad. It had been sad, but it is sad also. Also es ist traurig, aber es ist natürlich auch gesagt worden, dass da also Charakterbeurteilungen sind, die jetzt natürlich blöd sind für einen, der aus der Militärfamilie kommt. Der muss also jetzt schnell reagieren können und auch laut und dann wieder leise werden. Und das wird dann einfach als sprunghaft und so weiter interpretiert. Das ist natürlich Blödsinn für mich. Das hier ist eher das Problem gewesen, dass ich zwischendurch nicht so vernünftig nachdenken konnte. Und jetzt wackelt das hier. Ich habe eben gerade gezeigt, wie ich das hier gebaut habe. Das mache ich schon das ganze Leben lang. All the time I like to build things. And I've shown you the picture. Maybe I can find it again. But here many things, even that, no, I haven't. That is the most important. Why you should at least consider to support me. This is about the Breslau friends, and this is a very delicate topic, and I do not want to do it on my own, because yes, I can do it from the perspective of my father. There he is standing. He had problems with his feet since the First World War. It was said in German, seine Füße waren verbrannt oder jetzt durch Kälte auch verwandt, dass die ausgeschaltet waren. Also er hatte schon Kriegsverletzungen, and they were very much into physical training in that sportive system, and that is also something that would help to think about it, how the training techniques are developed. Also das Thema der Breslau-Freunde, das würde natürlich eine kleine Veränderung in der Wahrnehmung zumindest eines Stadtteils dort bedeuten, dass dort diese Bevölkerungsgruppe, aber nicht nur, weil es Fahrensleute waren, sondern weil es eben Leute waren, die auch in den Vereinigten Staaten einen Sinneswandel durchgemacht hatten. Und das ist aus dem Postausweis meines Vaters. Und I want to do it in this way, in this artist way as well, because I want to make it my profession. Those are my raising parents. My real mother on the left, she is biologically my mother as well. They are both, and through her she should have had a standing before as well. She knew about the British noble women who were my hostesses. At least I can remember about them, but about a Dutch as well, too. This is strange. So it would be something in German, also Völkerverständigung kann man da auch lernen. This would be, there are many reasons you should support this. This is something, Völkerverständigung. I understand that even in wartime there was between Britain, Ireland as well, the Netherlands, and Denmark as well. and the others in the north, there were, and US and Russia, those were privately somehow even bonded with a common idea to look for solutions. And it was not something we know anymore, according to my understanding. Und das haben wir so nicht mehr nach meinem Verständnis, dass hier so privat, sogar in Kriegszeit, even in wartime, also ich mache das hier auf Englisch, also sogar in der Kriegszeit, da irgendwie Völkerverständigung war, durch meine Eltern. Also hier ist eine Seite, geht nach Genghis Khan und Alexander den Großen, und diese hier, das ist noch nicht ganz klar. But the two ladies were from Britain, similarly built. My mother was not very tall on the outside, and he was even a little bit less tall as well. Also meine Mutter war nicht sehr groß, was das äußerlich betrifft, und auch mein Vater nicht. Und auch die Damen in Großbritannien, also eine Dame in Großbritannien, eine in Niederlanden, da war dann vielleicht noch eine in Dänemark. But I was very young, and most of the things I totally had out of my mind, because I was somehow not sedated. This is too much to say, but I had to take medicine against allergies and against high blood pressure, and then you have not the flexibility to go into things. And now I found a way on my own. It was not the medical doctor helped, but it is not something the system can offer. And I'd like to thank you. And this was with this man. Why is someone from Romania coming to my mind? Unfortunately, all this stopped because of my trying to study on my own. It was said in Germany, you have to study abroad. It was said, no, that is not necessarily a prerequisite. You can do that. And in Germany it was a prerequisite. So if this is not possible in Germany, I have to go abroad. But I want to try it in this country for financial reasons, of course, as well. So thank you very much. Until next time.